Hey, it's Kevin Martin and Jeffrey Poshman. We're here at the New Jersey High Railers, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Challenger, the 1931 260. Lionel's making these part numbers very difficult to remember.
Yep.
And behind Jeffrey's elbow is going to be the Challenger caboose that we bought. And of course, this is the yellow tender that came out with the 4014.
I feel like Vanna White right now, going back.
You're looking pretty good. You're looking pretty good. But this happens to be the tender from the 4014 era. Lionel's putting out a new one to match the new Challengers. This is not that one. It's got another long number, and I'm actually going to cheat and tell you what the number really is.
I'm supposed to have these memorized.
I know, but you know, the problem is they're too long anymore. So now that I have the book from 2018, Volume 2, with all the part numbers in here, I'm going to turn to page 10.
Take notes, page 10.
Page 10.
Page 10.
And tell you that the new Union Pacific tender, if I can read their numbers correctly, is 907-857. So that's what I have here, or a relic of that. There will be a whole bunch of other brand new tenders that go along with it. And I think no matter which one you buy, it will go nicely, because we're going to flip to the pages where Lionel decided to make not only the big boy, excuse me, the 3985, but they went ahead and decided to make some unique schemes. The Greyhound, I like this one in particular with the greenish boiler.
Surprised you didn't get it.
I might have to get that. Every time I keep looking at it, I might want to get that one. And then of course they have the Rio Grande, which is their standard one with the different stacks. Then if you look on the pages 8 and 9, once again I got a cheat, and I'm going to get a little closer, so if you don't have the 2018 catalog, you can take a look at all the special edition ones, particularly the lower corner here on page number 10, which is called the Fantasy Scheme. And it's one of those things that I happen to like but didn't buy, and I know Jeffrey's probably going to try to convince me to buy this because I bought the S3 version of the,
no, you're
right? So I might have to buy this one, but if you take a look at the 2018 catalog, you're going to find a lot of really cool things in here related to the Challenger. Now, one of the other things that I know Jeffrey thinks I'm crazy about is Lionel put out a whole bunch of box cars.
So that'll be another video coming up once we get them.
Yeah, they're not here yet, but again on page 12 and 13, you'll see that there's a series of sets, Lion Scale box cars.
Made in America.
Made in America, North Carolina.
Important to know, made in America.
Concord, North Carolina. And guess what? I have these on order. I just don't have them here for the
And how many of them do you have on order, Kevin?
I ordered, I think 36. So the next time we run this, they'll either be 30 or 36. Now that's not to say I can't pull out the Pacific Fruit Express cars.
You probably will too.
and add them on there, and we'll have like a 60-car consist.
This is the epicenter of the model railroading universe, by the way, so this layout could definitely handle a 60-car train. And I'm going to tell Kevin that it could also handle a 120-car train. Just get that in your head.
Yeah.
Cars.
Okay. So with that said, you know, Jeffrey and I are going to take a look at this brand new Challenger. And one of the more important things you need to know is read the manual.
Yeah, don't be like us.
Okay? Read the manual.
If you want them to get the best of your locomotive, you're going to find things that you didn't know even existed in this locomotive. Don't be stubborn like me.
Yeah. And Kevin.
Read the manual.
So what we're going to do is, because we're stubborn and we actually looked at the manual a little bit.
Well, I didn't. He did.
I did, yeah. What we're going to do is kind of go through
Do as I say, not as I do.
We're going to kind of go through the features at the front end here. And then, of course, Jeffrey, in his infinite wisdom, will give you a little history on the Union Pacifics and the Challengers and how they came about.
We'll do our little history lesson
first,
and then, Kevin, you could show them the ins and outs of this beautiful Lionel scale model.
So, with that said, Jeffrey, I'm going to ask you a quick question.
All right, quick.
Right. If you had the money,
yes,
and I know you do, which one of these would you buy?
I would definitely buy one of the, probably this one here, the standard black Union Pacific. Although the Greyhound looks very nice, since these were dual service, the Greyhound did look good with the passenger cars of that yellow, but I'd go with the standard black with the gray smoke box.
So how many, here's question number 2, how many members in our club have this Challenger?
That's a good question. I haven't found out. I know at least 5.
Correct.
All right.
That's a good guess. You're right.
So
Okay.
obviously 5 members of this club are buying this engine. See, I'm holding off. I got 2 Hudsons coming. So if a lot of guys are getting this engine, take it from us. If New Jersey High Railers approve of it, multiply it by 5, then it's definitely worth having. And like Kevin said, we're going to go into it. I'm going to do a little quick history lesson like I usually do. Kevin's going to go full on detail about the Lionel model. You're going to learn a lot today. You're going to see a lot today. And by the end of this video, you will probably be looking at your local hobby shop, reaching out to them, and you're probably going to get one. Me, I swear to myself, I'm not. I got 2 Hudsons coming. That's the video I'm looking forward to.
We're going to convince you. Now,
No. I'm a New York Central guy. I'm not getting away from them yet.
okay, so one other thing, Jeffrey and I have been getting a lot of emails and notices from Facebook and from YouTube. Everybody's asking me what I did to my hand.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to answer the question now before we get into this. I had replacement surgery knuckles on my thumb and on my pointer finger, really my pointer finger. So that's why in the last 3 or 4 videos you've seen something that looks like a cast on the hand, then you've seen a little bit of a smaller cast, then this kind of funky thing that I don't even really know what the doctor made. It was a handmade cast with a splint, and I'm just getting the functionality back in my hand. So for those of you that asked and were concerned, thank you very much for reaching out to me. Now you know what I did and why I did it. So,
All right, so let's get
into the Lionel's train stuff.
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, so a little bit of history here on the 4664 Challengers. These were built by the American Locomotive Company, better known as ALCO, between 1936 and I believe the final order was in 1945. A total of 105 Challengers were built by ALCO for the Union Pacific. However, a few Challengers by ALCO did make their way to the Denver, Rio Grande, and Western, or simply put, the Rio Grande, and 1 or 2 made their way to the Clinchfield Railroad out on the East Coast. So these locomotives, the Union Pacific designed them to be, the earlier ones were freight, but some of the later models, the later classes were dual service. They were designed for fast, heavy freight trains through the Wasatch Mountains, through the plains, and it could also handle a passenger train at a nice pace too. The earliest Challengers had a different look to them. They had one of those, I used to call them old-fashioned style steam locomotive look. The headlight was mounted to the boiler front. As they went on, the look of the Challenger was redefined, and the Union Pacific Railroad took hints and lessons learned from the Challenger to create the larger 4884 Big Boy. So the Challengers and the Big Boys, like most steam locomotives, especially in a coal-rich area that the Union Pacific ran in, they ran on coal. 2 Challengers were preserved. 3985 remained in service with the Union Pacific Railroad and is doing, well, what is on their roster for the Steam Preservation Series. Its last run was in 2010, where it pulled the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus train, which was just an absolute sight to be seen because it did it by itself, no diesel required, thus setting a Guinness World Record book for the most tonnage pulled by a steam locomotive in the 21st century. So not unfortunately, after 2010, 3985 went out for its mandated 15-year boiler inspection and rebuild, which is why you have not seen the 3585 recently, but we have it here in the Lionel version. This is the more modern version of it, and the reason why we know it's the more modern version of it is because it has the oil burning tender. Like I said, they started off as coal burners, but they went to oil. So the Challengers, just as the Big Boys, were synonymous with the Union Pacific Railroad. The Union Pacific Railroad liked big locomotives to do the job that would normally require 2 or 3 locomotives. Up and down the Wasatches, through the plains, long, heavy freight trains like the Challenger Freight Service, which was the overnight freight service, the 36 boxcars Kevin's getting, the matching caboose we have, the Pacific Fruit Express. They played a pivotal point in World War II, bringing troops and tanks and other raw materials, natural resources for the war effort from coast to coast across the overland route, as they call themselves. So the Challengers have a very rich history with the Union Pacific. They are unique to the Union Pacific, and them and the Big Boys. So once again, Kevin's going to get into the model here, but you're going to see that Lionel stayed true to what we have here. with the actual model. The detailing on this thing is absolutely phenomenal. The sound on it is absolutely phenomenal. So whether you are pulling a World War II era freight train with Sherman tanks and P-52 Mustang, 42 Mustangs, or you're pulling modern Union Pacific excursion cars, this locomotive is going to have right at home. It fits your layout perfectly. It fits the history of the Union Pacific perfectly, and you are definitely going to enjoy this locomotive. So now we're going to hand it over to Kevin, who's going to go over this model.
All right, Jeffrey, that was a great history on the Union Pacific and the 3985 and the 4014s. You know more about stuff than I think I can remember and forget it one night. But that's really good, and appreciate all the history that you have in your head. But that's why you're a history teacher. So what I want to do is go over the 3985, the black version that we have. A couple things I want to go over first. We're going to start with how you run it. You can run it with your orange remote if you program it. I don't have the orange remote in front of me. I lent it out. You can run it in a Bluetooth on your phone by simply downloading the application, which is free, by the way, and it's really easy to download. You can do it on Android and or your iOS. If you have the TMCC remote, feel free to use the TMCC remote. And of course, if you have the legacy system, you can program it in here and take advantage of all the feature functionality that Lionel built into this thing. And I have to tell you, Lionel built some really cool stuff in this engine. So we're going to start with a couple things first. And Jeffrey will come in and he'll get some close-ups as we run the video. But we're gonna go through a couple things here. You got the beautiful, beautiful, really well done front end details. Headlight down low. You have the cut bar, 3985 number boards, and of course the bell in the middle. This engine has 3 or 4 different ways you can have it smoke. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to talk about why it's important to only put 20 drops of Lionel Premium Smoke Fluid in each one of the areas that's required. And the main reason is because you don't want to overfill it and have the Lionel Smoke Fluid end up on the main PCB and get it all gooey and stuff like that. So the first place that you're going to put down smoke fluid is obviously in the 2 stacks up front here. Real simple, 20 drops, 10 in each, and you're done. The second place you're going to put it, and this is where you're going to need to make sure you read the instructions, because in your box is a very, very small funnel. You're going to be able to take the dynamo off, and in there is a tiny, tiny pinhole where you are going to install smoke here. Now, why is it important that you use that? Because if you don't, you're going to end up with smoke fluid all over the body of your nice engine, and you don't really want to do that. So please use the funnel. Second thing I want to go over is that in this particular engine overall, size and weight are very important. Lionel has put the controls for the engine up top. So here, and if you're looking in your manual, and Jeffrey will come over here and get a zoom in a little bit, all your feature functionality to control and program is under the dome. So you have your run and program switch, you have your Bluetooth switch, which is really cool. If you don't want to use Bluetooth, you can turn the Bluetooth feature on and off under here. This is the first time I believe I've seen this on a Lionel engine. I could be wrong, but I noticed this when I was messing around with it. I think it's a great feature because in the New Jersey high railers, we have people using Bluetooth on everything, and if you're not careful and they go ahead and they program an engine, there's a good chance that they're going to pick up my engine, and I don't want them to do that. So here at the New Jersey high railers, I turn the Bluetooth option off. You have your smoke on and off button here. You have your sound, and then you also have the steam whistle smoke effect control up here as well. Now, what's nice about this is because Lionel, I'm going to get a little closer, they went away from the pins and they put some magnets on here and a nice pinhole, a nice little stud to hold the top on. Okay? Snaps on real nicely. Now let's kind of take a look at the detail. As Jeffrey said before, 4664, but let's take a look down the side. The piping on this is impeccable. I believe this is a brand new mold, and it certainly shows it. You have rivets You have the nice piping along the side. I'm always a fan of the little red valve here. I don't know why, but I always kind of like that. Gray smoke box area. You can always do a nice job weathering this up. On the top, you have your steam pop-off valves, and again, the dynamo. Inside the cab, these are glass windows. You have an engineer and a conductor. And then we move back to the tender. As Jeffrey said, this is the oil-based tender. This engine has 3 speakers in it, two in the engine and one in the caboose. And you can adjust the sound by simply raising up, which one is it? One of these things here, and adjusting the sound on the caboose there. From a perspective of the font and the Union Pacific here, I kind of like this. It's a grayer font. It's not that white font that's out there, so it blends into the black really, really nice. And of course, when Jeffrey gets a little closer, you're going to see along the base of the caboose, the trucks have a nice kind of silver touch to them, which is really kind of cool. I've always liked that, and when they make something a little bit different. I know that the typical prototype guys, just black. You know, Jeffrey's a New York Central guy. It's got to be black. I kind of like a little color, a little feature functionality. It goes a long way in my opinion. So from this perspective, I like it a lot. The front end, when Jeffrey gets a lot of, Lionel painted the air hoses on the front. They really look very sharp. Across the top in the boiler, you can see a lot of details, and Jeffrey will come up close to it again, and you'll see the rivets, and you'll see all the different areas where it would look like a weld and painted. What I want to share with you is this is a wire here across both sides. That's the antenna to make the connection between this and this. So when you're handling this engine, do not grab it like this, because there's a good chance you're going to grab one of these pieces of wire here, which is the antenna, and snap off one of the stanchions. I've seen that happen already on some folks here with the big boy, and one gentleman here, I'm not going to mention his name, has already basically popped off all the rivets, and I'm going to have to repair it for him. So please, please, when you're picking this thing up, I strongly recommend that you grab it below the body, below the frame, where you're not going to touch any of the detailed portions and parts up across the top. So, with that said, there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. When this thing turns on for the first time, it smokes. And I mean, it smokes. So if you have a home where you have a family member or a significant other or somebody who has maybe lung capacity issues, you might want to consider toning it down 2 ways. Number 1, through the handheld, and number 2, like I said, by adjusting the smoke volume through here. So when I turn this thing on, you're going to see smoke come from 3 places. You'll see it come from the stack, you're going to see it come from the dynamo, and down along here, you're going to see smoke come out of the piping down here. So when this thing fires up, it is absolutely fantastic. Second to none is the sound system. This has got a tremendous horn and bell. And in some cases, I had a few folks say to me today, how many big boys I have running out here? And I don't. It was only this particular engine on the layout, and me doing a test. This building is over 250 feet long, and people on both ends of the building could hear the bell and the horn. So from a functionality standpoint, really, really good. With that said, I'm going to give it one more opportunity to go down here to the caboose. So Jeffrey, if you don't mind panning down to the caboose. This caboose is part of the set that I mentioned in the catalog. It's available. This is an LED caboose inside from a lighting perspective. It does not smoke. Lionel could have knocked the cover off the ball if they had made this a smoking caboose. But with that said, you don't normally have a caboose from Union Pacific in gray and red. That's the reason I bought it, because at times, as Jeffrey always makes fun of me, saying I'm not a purist. Well, no, I'm not a purist. Well, sometimes I am, but most times I'm not, because I just like to run the stuff, okay? So in this particular case, highly recommended. The detail's phenomenal on the bottom and the side. You can see, I'm lifting it off a little bit. You can see the red trucks with the black springs. Bottom of the line is detailed, and it's infinite wisdom. Lionel didn't leave anything out on that. Nice caboose for the price. So I recommend that if you are going to get this, you get the caboose. You're obviously going to get the engine. This is a rather pricey piece. It retails for $379. But what I like about it and the way it works is when you create a train, when you back this up, the headlight on the back of this tender lights up. Now, when you back it up as well, the backup lights and, excuse me, the marker lights on this tender stay lit as well. So overall, Lionel did a really nice job of thinking about making this a fun engine to operate. So earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that this engine has 3 places where you can control sound. On the tender, remember before I picked up the pieces and said the controls back here? Well, you have to lift up this little magnetic type of, I'm going to call it a toolbox for the lack of anything, a better term. But there is the control for your sound for the tender. So you can make it as loud or as low as you want. 2 magnets on the bottom of each connect to that. Simply slide it up underneath the under the lip, and you're good. On the engine, earlier I spoke about the controls. Now, this is going to be a little bit backwards, so Jeffrey, you're going to have to turn the camera a little bit maybe. I'm not quite sure. But I wanted to make sure that you guys could see all the things I was talking about when it comes to the control panel on the engine. You have the on-off switch, you have your program switch, you have your sound, you have your smoke, and then you have the program run switch over here. This is a really great place for this particular controls. In fact, I'd love to see Lionel do it on all of them, because whether it's a diesel or whether it's a steamer, it just makes it so much easier to handle. Now we're going to get a picture of the front end here. As I said, I wanted Jeffrey to get closer to this, and you're going to see that the front end and the boiler detail is really, really spectacular. Lionel really didn't leave anything to chance here. On the light on the side, you see the 3985. Remember before I said there's a little red mark on the air hose. The 3985 across the top. Nice jewels up front. I mean, they really did a super job. And as you go across the top, let me put this top back on here so you get a real good visual of it. As you go across the top, Lionel even painted on all the valves, red markers on there. And it's really kind of a nice little visual when you're looking at it standing still. Obviously, when it's running, you're not going to see that. But across the top, the gold, the red paints for the valves, and then along the bottom again, we talked about this earlier. The nice chrome, for the lack of a better color, on the drivers and everything here, just really looks fantastic. In this engine, you will get spare traction tires. That was another question I got last time. How come we don't talk about that? Well, you know what? For the most part, we really forget about it. But there are traction tires that come with it, along with the funnel and along with the other tools you're going to need to remove the drive to put the traction tires on if you need it. So overall, I think Lionel did a real good job. If Jeffrey, you want to get a close end down here, you'll see the engineer as well as the conductor, and then of course, as I mentioned earlier, the nice little nice little silver along the trucks. And then, of course, on the Challenger down here, the Union Pacific Challenger caboose, LED light to cab crew members. And again, the red, which is not typically a Union Pacific color, and a nice black springs that you see under here. So other than that, I mean, it's really a really well done piece, a lot of detail, and I think you'd be happy. I highly recommend you getting it. All right, so Jeffrey, what do you think?
Not getting it. It's hard, but I'm not getting it.
Okay.
I should, but look, it is a great engine. We saw it run here. It sounds great, it smokes great, it looks phenomenal. This is definitely on my hit list to get, but I don't, like I said, Kevin mentioned it, there's many different versions that Lionel came out with. Just the Union Pacific alone, this is the, you know, the steam program version, but they also have the version as they would have in the 1940s. They have the oil burning tender, coal burning tender, single stack for the Clinchfield, the Rio Grande, the fantasy scheme from there. So no matter what you're into, there is a challenger for your desires, for your layout. Lionel did a great job with the variety on this to make it suitable for everybody that's a West Coast person or a modern steam person. Like I said, you can't go wrong choosing any one of these. It's a great engine.
Well, given the success of the 4014, I'm sure this puppy's going to be sold out if it hasn't sold out already.
Well, I would imagine so. I mean, if you look at the Vision Line Big Boy, you can't find them anymore. So you have to get these now because sooner or later you're not going to find them. Or you're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money to get it. Which, if I have to, I have to. I'd rather not. But the point is this, all kidding aside, if you are into the Union Pacific Railroad, if you are into big steam locomotives, you need to have one of these.
Well, the 4014, you know, was in the 2019 catalog. They reissued that in the 2019 catalog. So there's an opportunity to get that one. It's got some slightly different features, you know.
Because they did it for the how it looks currently.
Right.
But if you wanted a 1940, the original release, the Vision Line, with all that fancy stuff with the coal that goes down, you can't find those anymore. I'm kicking myself for not buying one, but just add it to the list, I guess.
Well, I'm glad I bought this. I went two different ways. Was I going to buy the Greyhound? Was I going to buy the normal, you know, 3985? Chris Lord, who is our editor-in-chief, thank you, Chris, for doing all these things, and thanks to the folks at Lionel for answering some of our questions before we did this video. I looked around and I went back to the 3985 in pure, in this pure color here. I couldn't be happier with it. I really do think it's going to be a great addition to my collection. Chris showed me the JCL. That's when I was kind of like deciding whether I was going to go with the fantasy scheme or this or that. And when I saw the JCL version, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the standard black. We'd like to thank the folks at Lionel. You guys really have been supporting the New Jersey High Railers. We're a member of the Ambassador Club, so we enjoy that a lot. Jeffrey and I get a great pleasure out of having an opportunity to review these things in advance.
After a long day at work, it's always nice to look forward to coming into the High Railers.
Isn't it?
Getting to talk about Lionel trains and getting to run this thing around the layout like you just saw. So at the end of a hard work day, you know, you can't go wrong, you know, on a Wednesday. All right, I'm going to High Railers. What are we doing today, Kevin? Oh, we're filming the Challenger. All right, it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So it makes the work day go faster. Like I said, like folks at Lionel, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to do these video reviews. We have a great time doing it, and I know that you guys have a great time watching us. And you know, there's nothing, the only thing better than doing the video review is running the thing as you just saw. So we want to thank you guys, our loyal viewers. I hope you learned some things, and
we had fun.
We always have fun.
I'm looking forward to all the stuff I have in order.
Me too. Like I said, 206 is going to be great.
Yeah. The 1939, I got that coming. And I have the standard, you know, the one with the white walls.
Yeah, the pilot. Well, not the pilot. The photo shoot version.
Photo shoot version.
Yeah, I've got the 1940s version with the skull and disc drivers and the Knickerbocker long train pacemaker set. So,
well, we'll be doing a video on that when we get those in from Lionel.
Hopefully
in the meantime, Lauren, Mike, Sadie, Dean, Ryan, crew, thanks a lot. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.